Good morning, Boker Tov. Welcome back to 10 Minutes of Meaning. I want to thank, as always, our generous sponsors for 10 Minutes of Meaning, Shmuel and Esther Shaiwitz, Lila Nishmas, his father Yaakov Yudim and Gedalia, and the schus of Refuah Shlema of her mother Batsheva Bas Bluma Rivka. As always, you're invited to take coffee or slushies or pastries or whatever you like. Also, our 10 Minutes of Meaning today is sponsored in memory of the second yahrzeit of Esther Tehila Bas of Gavriel Pinchas, which will be tonight and tomorrow. Her neshama, precious neshama, should have an aliyah. We are towards the end of Iggeres HaRamban, the letter that Ramban wrote to his son, the letter that Ramban wrote to each and every one of us. And the Ramban last left off telling us to fashfesh b'maasecha b'boker u'va'erev, that a person should not just grip it and rip it in life. Don't just coast through life. Don't just let momentum carry you in life and hope for the best. But a person has to every morning and every evening, b'boker u'va'erev, not once a day but twice a day, be mefashfesh b'maasecha. Evaluate our choices, our actions, our decisions, our behavior. A person should stop and say, what am I proud of? What do I need to improve? What do I need to repair? What did I do well? What do I need to do better? So a person is then spending their entire life recalibrating. In real time, we're picking up signal to say, where am I? How close am I to my destination and where I'm going? If I veered off, if you move just slightly, then over the span of time, you're going to end up, I forget what the mashal is, the plane that takes off and it's a few degrees off. So 6-hour flight later, it's going to end. Oops. What does this matter? What difference does this make? We're just going to be a few degrees off, but it's going to lead to thousands of miles of difference. And so a person needs to be baboku va'erev every morning and every evening. Kol yamecha b'tshuva. If we're constantly evaluating, where's my GPS? Where am I? How am I doing? How far am I? So then I can stay en route to where I want to go. So kol yamecha b'tshuva. The idea is tshuva is lashuv, is to return. So if I'm constantly recalibrating, returning to my path, to my derech, to my direction, to where I want to go and to where I want to be. And then the Ramban picks up and he says, "V'haser kol divrei ha'olam milibcha be'es hatfilah." Now he shifts and he pivots from talking about tshuva, recalibration, return, staying on a path, getting to our destination, living our best selves, and all of a sudden he's talking about tefillah. He's talking about prayer. And what about prayer? Haser kol divrei ha'olam milibcha. Remove everything from your heart be'es hatfilah when you're davening. Why did he go from tshuva to tefillah? Why did he shift and he pivot? So Rabbeinu Yonah writes in Sharei HaTshuva that a chelek of tshuva is tefillah. One of the important parts or portions of tshuva, of returning, is tefillah. We normally think of davening as davening. Davening, I'm talking to Hashem. Davening, I have all my requests and my needs and my supplications. And tshuva is what I'm thinking about. How do I get less angry? How am I more patient? How can I improve my midos? How can I daven better? How can I learn better? How can I be a better person? But the truth is, Rabbeinu Yonah writes in Sharei Tshuva that a portion of tshuva is tefillah. How can you hope to return and repair? How can you hope to improve and be better? How can you hope to be your best self if you don't ask him for help? One of the most important ways, one of the most fundamental and foundational ways that we can in fact set ourselves back on course and that we can improve and live our best lives is asking Hashem. This is a fundamental. We think that there's hishtadlus. I take my initiative, I make my effort, I go to work, I market, I network, I try to pick up clients and customers, I take care of my health, I work out, I take my ice plunge, I do what I need to do, I eat right, I do my thing, right? And then separate than that, there's like davening is a checklist thing. Which minyan, what room is it going to be in? Where are we going to be displaced today? I got to just get my davening done. Check. There's my davening. So now that davening's done in the morning, now I can do my real hishtadlus. Now I'm going to go to work. Now I'm going to go to work out. Now I'm going to take my real initiative until I have to do that thing called davening later today again. What time is Mincha Marav? So I can put a check mark next to Mincha Marav. But it's really in between the davening that I do my hishtadlus. I take my initiative. I make my effort. Says the Ramban, no. The biggest hishtadlus you'll do all day is your davening. The biggest initiative and the biggest effort you'll do is asking Hashem, the senior partner in everything, I need your help. Whether it's playing tennis, and taking care of your health, whether it's going to work, whether it's networking and picking up clients, whether it's raising our children, whether it's having a happy and a healthy marriage, whatever area of life that we're working on, yes, there's the initiative and the effort that we make, but the Gemara says, Harbe, many tried, and if you don't daven and you don't ask Hashem for help, then you can't succeed. So the Ramban says, every morning and every evening, be mefashres, evaluate, think about who you are you matching up and meeting up to who you want to be? And then also, don't forget, daven. And hasar kol divrei ha'olam milibcha. Eliminate and remove everything from your heart, be'es tefillah, when you're davening. So much news going on, and there's so many things to do, and emails to return, and phone calls to make, so much money to raise to finish a campus, and appointments you have to set, and groveling and begging you have to do. There's so much that's on your mind. So you come into davening, and all you're doing is thinking about all the things that have to happen, all the things we got to do. Says the Ramban, you'll never be able to daven. You'll never be able to daven. First thing you have to do when you daven is hasem mikol divrei ha'olam. Remove everything from your heart. The All-Star game last night. What's the stock market going to do today? It's closed today. It's closed today because it's President's Day. What's today? President's Day. It's closed today. So the stock market, but what's it going to do tomorrow? And what work do I have to do today? And my kids are home. What will I do with them today? So hasar kol divrei ha'olam. You got to remove everything about the world milibcha from your heart. Be'es tefillah. I sometimes have this mental image when I take my 3 steps forward to daven. Hashem svasai tiftach. Akadosh Baruch Hu, open my lips if yagiti lasecha. That Akadosh Baruch Hu, I have a picture of my hands just spreading apart. There's like so many things between us and Hashem. A to-do list and tasks and anxiousness and worry. There's a million things going on. There's news alerts coming in. You just got to open up the path. You just got to open up the window. You just got to get a direct line. Just set it all aside. It's almost as if like the paper's on the desk, you're like throwing it all off. This book is just clearing it all out. Just clear it all out. All that friction, all that noise, all those impediments, just clear it out. Now Hashem, it's just me and you. It'll all be waiting there. Second davening's over. It'll all be waiting. If you're lucky, if you can make it to daven, the end of davening before it's all waiting there, I promise you it'll all be waiting there. It will all come back. But in the meantime, Hasan kol divrei ha'olam milibcha be'es tefillah. Remove everything from your heart during the time of davening, because there is no greater hishtadlus than tefillah itself. If you knew that closing that deal later today depended on whether you were fully present and mindful during this davening, you'd be fully present and mindful. If you knew that making that flight later today, if you knew that getting a good lab report or a doctor report was dependent on the quality of the davening, there's no greater hishtadlus. So we make this terrible mistake of thinking there's my initiative, that's in between davening. And then there's davening, that's just something I have to do. Davening is the hishtadlus. This is the greatest doctor, the greatest lawyer. This not only knows the judge, he is the judge. He is the source and the outcome of everything that we want. And if we'd understand that, Hasa, we'd be able to just remove everything from our heart and be present and talk to him, understanding this is the hishtadlus. It's a very, very hard thing to do. That's why the Gemara Brachos tells us, Dalet Shich and Chizuk, there are 4 things that need constant reinforcement and strengthening. And one of those 4 things is tefillah, because you've never conquered it. No one will ever say, I daven, I'm never distracted. I never think about other things. When I daven, I'm fully present, fully mindful, fully there. 4 things need chizuk. The Gemara tells stories of tzaddikim, Tanaim and Amoraim, who would begin davening in one corner of the room and they would end in the other corner of the room. And they wouldn't remember how they got there. It started at the beginning of the siddur, the end of the siddur, they don't remember saying anything. And if that's true for Tanaim and Amoraim and great tzaddikim, and if Chazal themselves tell us we need chizuk, then that's what we need is chizuk. And the Ramban is telling his son, the Ramban is telling all of us that the very first thing to do in order to daven effectively, first thing to do to daven successfully, the very first thing to do to daven in a way that davening is our hishtadlus, it's our initiative, is haser kol davar ha'olam milibcha be'es tefillah. If you walk in and you got 2 cell phones and 3 beepers and a huge keychain jingling and a million things going on, and it's all happening during davening, you're not davening. How could you be davening? How are you fully present? How are you mindful? How are you engaged? How are you invested? How are you in a conversation? But if we understand that is the biggest hishtadlus. So we think, I got to get davening out of the way because I have the doctor's office I got to go to. I got to get davening out of the way because I got appointments with customers and clients. I got to get davening out of the way because I got solicitations for the campus to do. No, don't get davening out of the way. Davening will determine the outcome of all those things we have to do. It is the greatest hishtadlus of our day. And the first step of that ishtadlus called tefillah is haser kol divrei ha'olam. Remove, eliminate all the friction, all the impediments, all the obstacles. Make a clear path between you and Hashem for a few minutes, even if it's not the whole davening. On a Monday morning, davening is 40, 45 minutes, depending on the minyan. 18 minutes, an hour and a half, whatever. But davening is, but just 5 minutes of it. Just 5 minutes. How long is your Amida after all? Because that's the only part of davening that we're actually talking to Hashem. The rest we're building up to talking to Hashem. The rest we're recovering, coming down from talking to Hashem. The only part, Amida, Omed Lefnei HaMelech, is the Amida. How long is it already? 5 minutes? Time yourself, it's less. It's embarrassingly less how long it takes us to say the Amida. But let's say 3, 4, 5 minutes out of the 45, just clear out everything else. Don't let your head go to anything else. It'll all be there waiting and just be in conversation. That's the biggest ishtadlus. But we can't be successful in that conversation if we don't take the moment. So we'll pick up next week. The Ramban talks about you can't be successful with anything unless you prepare. So how are you going to walk into davening and have a successful conversation if you didn't prepare? Who here walks into a meeting? You got a big meeting with a customer, a client. You didn't prepare. You got a big solicitation. You didn't prepare. You didn't do your research. You didn't think about what you're going to say. You got a big speech to give. You don't prepare. So this is the biggest meeting of the day. Biggest meeting of the day. My friend Hillel Fold sometimes posts a picture of himself in Talis and Tefillin. He says, starting off with the most important meeting of the day. It's the biggest meeting of the day. APAC Policy Conference used to have 18,000 people. And I used to feel that the growing segment of that conference, of the 18,000, Shomri Torah and Mitzvah, so would have minyan first thing in the morning before you go to Capitol Hill for all the meetings, the most important meeting of the day. Whatever meetings you have today, davening is the most important meeting of the day, and it won't go well unless you first clear that path and then take it from there. We'll pick up next week. Mirza Hashem.